Many years ago, in a large communal compound, lived a woman named Sherifatu, whom everyone considered to be blessed. Sherifatu had a beautiful baby girl named Arina, who was different from the regular babies. Nobody expected Arina to be that kind of baby, especially not in a compound where babies announced their presence like emergency sirens. The compound itself was already noisy on a normal day. Children shouted from morning till night. Radios fought each other from different rooms, and someone's generator always sounded as if it was coughing its last breath. Even the landlord's dog barked like it had unpaid rent to settle. So, when Sherifatu went into labor, everyone prepared themselves mentally for another loud addition to the compound. Sherifatu and her husband had not always lived in that compound. They moved in after their wedding when money was still trying to locate them. The room was small, the bathroom complained every morning, and the kitchen space was so tight that two people could not turn at the same time without apologizing. Yet, they were grateful. Sherifatu was one to say thank you even when life handed her small blessings wrapped in stress. Months later, when she got pregnant, the pregnancy itself was normal. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no fainting, no emergency runs, and no village aunties shouting prophecy, except for the usual tiredness, swollen feet, and occasional mood that made her husband hide his phone. When labor finally started, it started quietly too, as if baby Arina herself had already begun rehearsing her character. The night Arina was born, rain fell lightly, not the angry one that beats zinc and wakes everybody up. This one was soft and sounded like someone tapping gently on the roof. Sherifatu delivered at the hospital, and by morning, she returned home with a baby girl wrapped neatly in a white cloth, sleeping as if she had just finished long calculations in heaven. That was when people noticed the first strange thing. The baby did not cry. Not that she did not cry at all, but her crying was like a polite cough. It was short and controlled, as if she was saying, "Excuse me," instead of screaming, "Who sent me here?" Even the nurse had looked twice and said, maybe the baby was still tired from delivery. By afternoon, when other babies would have started their daily shouting competition, Arina was still calm, blinking slowly and studying faces as if she was counting heads. The compound watched. On the first night, nobody woke up to newborn baby cries. People slept suspiciously. Some even checked the time twice to be sure NEPA had not tampered with reality. By morning, the whispers began. One woman said, maybe the baby is sick. Oh. Another one said, maybe she's just gentle. Days passed. Weeks passed. Yet, Arina remained quiet. She slept through noise, she slept through generator, and she slept through neighbors' arguments. One afternoon, two women quarreled loudly right outside Sherifatu's window over borrowed buckets. Their voices were high. They were waving their hands and flinging saliva. Yet, Arina slept as if she paid rent in heaven. People started using her as a measuring stick. Other babies cried too much. Oh, this one is different. Then, something else happened. Something that made people sit up properly and think twice. Small good things started happening to Arina's parents. Sherifatu's husband got a call about a job he had applied for long before the pregnancy. A job he had already forgotten. A job he assumed was dead like old group chats. The salary was better, such that bills that usually arrived like bad news now looked like pure water. Even food seemed to last longer in the house now. Peace entered their home quietly, just like the baby did. Visitors could not help but notice. When people came to greet Sherifatu, they left lighter. Someone came with a headache and forgot it while carrying Arina. Someone else came angry and left calm. Arina would sit on laps, hold fingers, smile slowly, and then fall asleep like a satisfied landlady. That was when the compound officially lost focus. Gossip upgraded. People stopped saying congratulations and started saying things with meaning. They would make statements like, "This baby came prepared. This baby did not come empty-handed though. This baby knows why she came." Women started visiting with unnecessary frequency. Some came without reason. Some even came with prayer points disguised as greetings. They would carry Arena and sigh deeply. "Hi, she's so peaceful. She's a lucky charm. She changed everything." Meanwhile, when Sherifatu noticed the change, she laughed it off at first, but soon it began to worry her. She had carried babies before. She had seen loud ones, stubborn ones, sleepers, criers, and the ones that refused to be put down. She knew children were different, but people were beginning to speak as if Arena was a formula. Women started saying things openly. "Once I give birth and Arena touches my belly, my life will change. Children are blessings. Delay is the enemy. See how everything changed for her just because of one baby." Some women even joked that they would come and borrow Arena for the weekend. Sherifatu smiled politely, but she started correcting people gently, like someone trying not to offend madness. "Please, not all children are the same. Arena is just gentle." She said it with laughter, but meaning followed her words. "Children are gifts, not plans." People nodded but ignored her. After all, hope is sweet when it does not require efforts. When Arena turned 1, she clocked it quietly. She was still not loud, but still very observant and still sleeping like someone with no unfinished business. She would look at faces seriously, then suddenly smile as if she had heard a private joke. The compound children tried to make her cry for fun. When they failed, they concluded she was special. That was when the dangerous idea settled properly. More women stopped seeing Arena as a baby and started seeing her as an evidence. Evidence that a baby would fix things. Evidence that childbirth was the missing key. And evidence that life waited on wombs. Each time, Sherifatu warned them clearly. "Please listen to me. Children are not the same. What comes with one child will not follow another. Do not plan your life around a baby." And each time they would smile and change the topic because they did not want to hear that one. Especially one married auntie named Kamemenia, who had been observing Arena since birth. Kamemenia had been married for 8 years, not unhappily, just comfortably. She and her husband lived in the same compound as Sherifatu, 2 rooms away, close enough to hear news quickly and far enough to avoid unnecessary intimacy. Kamemenia was a sensible woman who dressed well without noise, spoke gently and planned everything. If life were a market, Kamemenia would never buy an item without price comparison. She was not barren, at least nobody had ever called her that. She simply believed in timing. She wanted to enjoy marriage first. She wanted to travel small. She wanted money to settle, and she wanted peace to land properly. Children, in her opinion, deserved preparation, not rush. Whenever aunties gathered and the topic shifted towards babies, Kamemenia smiled and said things like, "Everything has its time." People respected her logic, even if they did not agree with it. However, that was before Arena. When Arena was born and refused to behave like a normal compound baby, Kamemenia noticed immediately. The first time she carried Arena, the baby did not cry. She simply rested her head on Kamenia's chest and sighed like someone who had finally found a good pillow. Kamemenia laughed and said, "See this baby, she has sense already." From that day, Kamemenia began watching Sherifatu closely, not with envy but with interest. She noticed how Sherifatu no longer complained about money. She noticed how her husband walked with confidence, with his chest forward like someone whose life had received alignments. And she noticed how visitors left their room smiling, even when they entered with stress written on their faces. One evening, while women sat outside peeling vegetables and exchanging daily gossip, the discussion turned serious. One woman said, "Since Sherifatu gave birth, everything changed. Before they were managing, now see peace." Another woman nodded. "Children are blessings, but some children come with open doors." Kamemenia laughed and said, "It does not work like that." They turned to her immediately. Someone asked, "So, how does it work?" Kamemenia cleared her throat. "A child is not a business plan." They all laughed, but the idea did not leave her mind. That night, she discussed it with her husband. "I think we should start trying for a baby." She said it casually, as if she was suggesting a new cousin. Her husband looked at her. "You changed your mind suddenly." "It is not sudden," she replied. "I have been thinking." He did not argue. He just smiled. After all, he had always wanted children. Kamemenia noticed how easy the decision felt, how smooth it sounded when she said it aloud. In her heart, she pictured something very specific: a calm baby, a peaceful home, and a life that would arrange itself quietly, just like Sherifatu's. Fortunately, within a short time, Kamemenia became pregnant. The compound erupted in congratulations. Neighbors congratulated her loudly. Someone shouted, "See how God works." Another person said, "It is her turn." Kamemenia smiled graciously, and inside, confidence settled inside her chest like a furniture. This is it, she thought. The season has come. Unconsciously, people started comparing openly. Arena paved the way. Once you give birth, things will change too. Someone even joked, "I am very sure Kamemenia ordered the same model as Arena." The joke landed too well. Sherifatu heard the conversation and felt uneasy. One afternoon, Kamemenia came to greet her, glowing and already walking like someone whose life had been solved. Sherifatu congratulated her warmly, then spoke carefully. "Kamemenia, I am happy for you, truly. But please, do not expect your experience to be like mine. Children are different." Kamemenia laughed it off. Sherifatu, don't worry. I am not expecting magic." But her eyes said otherwise. Oh yeah, now, the pregnancy did not even waste time to announce itself. Morning sickness arrived before the morning, and smells attacked Kamemenia aggressively. Rice offended her. Soup insulted her. Even water became suspicious. She vomited regularly and dramatically with sound effects. Still, she smiled through it and said, "It will pass." But it didn't. Instead, her hospital visits increased. Sleep reduced, and the glow people expected refused to show up. One day, during another vegetable peeling session, someone asked innocently, "Kamemenia, pregnancy is sweet, right?" She forced a laughter and said, "Yes, so very sweet." But that night, she told her husband, this was not part of the plan. Oh. By the 4th month, she was already exhausted. Still, people encouraged her. Arena's mother also passed through these things. Sherifatu overheard and shook her head quietly. One evening, Kamemenia came to her flat again with tired eyes, this time to seek comfort. "This pregnancy is loud," Kamemenia complained. Sherifatu looked at her and replied, "Not all journeys are the same." Kamemenia sighed. "I thought it would be softer." Sherifatu said nothing. She only turned to look at Arena, who was sleeping peacefully, unaware that she had become a standard nobody could actually meet. Kamemenia returned to her room that evening with one hand on her stomach. She laid down slowly and whispered to herself that everything would still turn out fine because in her mind she had specifically ordered peace. But from that night onward, she stopped sleeping like a normal human being. Sleep began to avoid her as if she owed it money. Each time she managed to close her eyes, her stomach would turn, twist, or kick in a way that suggested the baby was practicing martial arts inside her. She tried lying on the left, then the right, then sitting up like a night guard, but nothing worked. By morning, she looked like someone who had argued with sleep all night and lost. Still, Kamemenia kept telling herself the same thing. This is temporary. Whenever her husband asked how she was feeling, she replied with forced confidence, I am fine. Fine became her default lie, or maybe the tiny thread of hope she had left. The pregnancy was not what she ordered at all. Cha. It did not glow. It did not cooperate. It did not read the plan she had run in her head. Food smells still attacked her like enemies in the second trimester. Rice made her angry. Oil made her dizzy. Pepper threatened her life. Even the soup she used to love now smelled suspicious, as if it was planning something bad behind her back. One afternoon, she opened the pot, inhaled it once, and then ran outside holding her stomach. Her neighbor saw her and casually asked, Is it morning sickness? Kamemenia wiped her mouth and replied, This one is afternoon sickness. Evening sickness is coming later. The compound laughed, but Kamemenia did not find it funny. At the hospital, the nurses now knew her by name. The receptionist no longer asked questions when she arrived, and the doctor started greeting her like a colleague. Each visit came with new advice, new tablets, and new bills. It got to the point that her husband stopped asking how much it costs. He just paid and sighed. At home, Kamemenia complained quietly at first. Then she voiced it out loudly. This pregnancy is too active. Is it playing games with me? Her husband tried to encourage her. Maybe the baby will be strong. Kamemenia snapped. Strong is different from violence. By the 6th month, walking became a negotiation. By the 7th month, breathing required planning. And by the 8th month, she stopped attending compound gossip sessions because sitting down was hard and standing up was worse. The women noticed and started saying, She's not enjoying this pregnancy at all. Another replied, Maybe she's just dramatic. Kamemenia heard them and hissed violently. It's not you people's fault now. That night, she talked to her stomach. I did not plan for this kind of behavior. The baby kicked in response, so she stopped talking. One afternoon, Sherifatu visited her. Arena was strapped gently to her back, sleeping like someone with no depths. Kamemenia stared at the toddler with mixed emotions. This your child is still calm, Kamemenia said. Sherifatu smiled. She has been like that since day one. Kamemenia sighed deeply. My own has not slept since month 2. Sherifatu sat and replied, Kamemenia, pregnancy is not rehearsal. It does not promise the same script for everyone. Kamemenia nodded, but inside, disappointment was choking her heavily. This was not the experience she had imagined. This was not the peaceful journey she ordered. This one was stress with attachments. As the delivery day approached, fear joined the household. Kamemenia became restless. She started packing and unpacking her hospital bag every week. Then, every 3 days, then every night. She watched delivery videos she should not have watched. She listened to too many birth stories, and each one sounded worse than the previous one. Her husband tried to calm her. You'll be fine. But she replied, people who say that have never pushed a human being out of their body. When labor finally started, it did not start gently. It started like an announcement. Pain hit her suddenly and Kamemenia screamed. The neighbors heard. Someone shouted, It has started! Another one ran to call her husband. Someone else brought hot water without knowing why. On the way to the hospital, Kamemenia kept shouting instructions. Drive carefully, don't drive carefully. Drive faster. Wait, slow down. At the hospital, the nurses moved quickly and the doctor spoke in short sentences. Time lost meaning as hours passed like stubborn minutes. Kamemenia expected relief at the end, but what she got was shock. When the baby finally arrived, the infant's cry filled the room immediately. See, it was not a normal cry or soft cry. It was not even the normal angry cry. This one was sharp, loud, and continuous. This was the kind of sound that enters your head and refuses to leave. The nurse froze for a second. The baby did not stop. The cry followed them out of the delivery room. It followed them into the ward and followed them into the night. They tried everything to pacify the baby, but it failed. Breast milk failed. Rocking failed. Singing failed. Even prayer failed. Kamemenia laid there exhausted with her eyes wide open listening. Her face changed immediately. This was not the baby she imagined. This was not the peace she ordered. This was not Arena inspired. Outside, people waited for good news, but they didn't even need to ask, has she delivered? Because the baby announced itself to everyone on the hospital streets. Inside, Kamemenia stared at the ceiling, crying in past tense. It was clear her own has finished. Pregnancy did not give her peace. Delivery did not respect her expectations, and now life did not give her what she ordered. By the time Kamemenia was discharged from the hospital, everybody already knew something was different. News travels fast in a compound, but strange news runs. Before she even stepped back into her room, the baby's voice arrived first. It came ahead of them like a town crier that did not wait for permission. The cry entered the compound, bounced off the walls, climbed the stairs, and settled firmly in everybody's ears. People looked at one another. So they've come back, someone said. Another person replied, yes, so very back. Kamemenia entered slowly, carrying exhaustion like an extra bag. Her husband followed behind. His face was tight. There was no smile on it. The baby cried without rest, without pause, and without shame. It was not hunger. It was not pain. It was not even sleep. It was just expression. Pure, confident expression. The first night was a disaster. Kamemenia tried breastfeeding. The baby cried. She tried rocking. The baby cried louder. And she tried singing a lullaby she barely remembered, but the baby screamed as if it hated music. Her husband stood up, sat down, walked around, checked the time, checked the baby, and checked his own sanity. At some point, he asked, should we call the nurse? Kamemenia snapped, call who? To do what? The baby cried at them. By midnight, neighbors began counting how many times the baby inhaled before releasing sound again. Sleep became impossible in the compound. The neighbor's dog howled in solidarity. Someone upstairs knocked on the door with a stick. Someone else shouted, I beg now. Kamemenia covered her ears and cried quietly. Morning came, but rest did not come with it. Kamemenia's eyes were red. Her body hurt and her head felt heavy. She looked like someone who had aged 10 years overnight. When women came to greet her, they entered smiling and left confused. Hey, is the baby okay? One of them asked. Yes, Kamemenia replied through clenched teeth. The baby cried again. Another woman laughed nervously. Hey, she has strong lungs, so Kamemenia did not laugh. By afternoon, gossip started adjusting itself. Some people were saying, this one did not come gently, oh. No be every baby be Arena. Some said it casually, but the words landed heavily. Sherifatu came to visit later with Arena on her back. As usual, Arena was asleep, resting peacefully like she trusted the world completely. The contrast was too painful. Kamemenia noticed it immediately. She looked at Arena, then at her own baby, then she looked away. This your baby still sleeps, Kamemenia said weakly. Sherifatu nodded. She sleeps anywhere. The baby cried louder as if offended by the comparison. Kamemenia suddenly laughed. A short, sharp laughter that surprised everyone. See my own now. She doesn't sleep anywhere. She is always awake. Sherifatu sat down. She did not say, I told you so. She only said, every child has their own assignment. Kamemenia swallowed that one. As days passed, the cry did not reduce. Rather, it became a schedule. Morning cry, afternoon cry, night cry, cry with eyes open, cry with eyes closed, cry with energy, cry with commitment. Kamemenia stopped pretending. She started looking tired openly. Her husband too became quiet, and unfortunately, they started having arguments over small things. Why didn't you carry her properly? Why are you blaming me? I am tired. So am I. Well, the baby cried through the arguments. Sleep left the house completely. Kamemenia began losing patience. One evening, while rocking the baby aggressively, she suddenly stopped and burst into tears. This is not what I ordered, she said. Her husband said nothing. That night, Kamemenia remembered all the statements she had made with confidence. Once I give birth, things will arrange. Children bring peace. Delay is the enemy. She laughed bitterly at herself. Delay, she realized, was not the enemy. Assumption was. One afternoon, Kamemenia sat alone after the baby finally fell asleep from exhaustion rather than peace. She looked at the small face and felt love. Real love, but also reality. This child did not come to arrange her life. This child came to demand it. She muttered, "You are not punishment. You are not a mistake." The baby opened one eye, then started crying again. Kamemenia laughed tiredly and started rocking her crying baby. She decided there and then that she would no longer fuss about what she couldn't get. Rather, she would learn how to survive the noise she invited. By the time the baby was 3 months old, the compound had learnt restraint. Not discipline, no, just restraint. People still talked, but they talked lower now. They still gossiped, but they chose safer locations. Nobody stood directly in front of Kamelia's door anymore. Not because she warned them not to, but because nobody wanted to accidentally collect cry by association. Kamemenia herself had changed in all ramifications. She no longer dressed with extra efforts. Wrapper was just enough for her. Earrings became optional. Sleep was a rumor, and her eyes carried permanent shadows that suggested she had been negotiating with sleep for too long. When people greeted her, she smiled politely, but the smile ended quickly, like someone managing battery. "How is the baby?" people asked cautiously now. Kamemenia would nod. "She's fine." Well, fine now meant alive. One afternoon, while sitting outside to get fresh air, Kamemenia overheard two women talking. "I thought having a baby would bring peace." The other quickly replied, "Peace does not come with diapers." Kamemenia smiled without turning. That evening, Sherifatu visited again. Arena had grown a little bigger, yet still calm, observant and behaving like someone who had already seen enough of life. She sat quietly on her mother's lap, playing with her fingers. Kamemenia watched her and then laughed. "I used to think children arrive with instructions," she said. Sherifatu smiled. "They arrive with responsibility." Kamemenia nodded slowly. "See me now. I ordered peace but received work." They both laughed together, this time genuinely. Later that night, Kamemenia spoke to her husband honestly for the first time since delivery. "I was wrong," she said. He looked at her. "About what?" "About thinking a child would arrange everything." He nodded and replied, "Well, we are arranging things now." That was the truth, because slowly and painfully, they were arranging things by themselves. They stopped comparing, stopped listening to compound commentary, and focused on learning their child. They accepted that this baby did not come quietly. She came loudly, intentionally, and with character. The compound adjusted too. Women stopped using Arena as an example. Nobody said once you give birth, life will change anymore. And when someone tried to fantasize, another person would quickly add, it depends. Oh, they all knew better now that children are not orders placed in hope. They are lives delivered with responsibility. Some come quietly, while some come loudly. None of them come to arrange your life for you. Rather, they come to change it in their own way. Hi besties, thank you for watching this story. This story is dedicated to our baby bestie Arena on her first birthday and our bestie Kamemenia, whose birthday is also today. Happy birthday besties. I am wishing you a year of health, love, peace and prosperity. Let's kindly say a word of prayer for them in the comment section and give this story a thumbs up. Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.